Right. So myself, Suresh, lecturer in mechanical engineering from Government Polytechnic, Chegunta. I am going to deal with the subject called fluid mechanics and hydraulic machinery. So my today's topic is from flow through pipes. So from this, I am selected a subtopic called hydraulic gradient line and total energy lines. Today we are going to discuss about the what are hydraulic gradient lines and total energy lines, and also sketch the HGL and total energy line TEL for given fluid flow through a pipe. Okay. So first of all, we would like to know about the forms of energy possessed by a liquid. So what are the forms of energies possessed by a liquid? You can see. So first one will be a pressure energy. Okay. So this is the one of the form of energy so possessed by a liquid. Okay. First that is a pressure energy. Okay. So pressure energy is nothing but it is a force that produces the flow in a pipeline. So in a pipeline, the force is produced. Okay. So that is called a pressure energy. Okay, so it is expressed in terms of head, that is in meters of liquid. Okay, this pressure energy is expressed in terms of meters. Okay, meters of liquid. Next, so it is equal to pressure. Okay, it is equals to pressure divided by a specific weight W. So P by W of liquid. Okay, that is pressure head is equals to P by W. P is pressure and W will be the specific weight of liquid. Okay, so pressure head is equals to P by W. Okay, next second form of energy is potential energy. Okay, so it is energy stored by the liquid. Okay, it is energy stored by liquid. So due to its elevated position. Okay, next. So it is expressed in terms of head, that is in meters. Okay, so this is also expressed in terms of head only. Okay, that is in meters. So it is equal to the height z of liquid from a datum. From the datum, so to the height of the liquid. Okay, that is z. Okay, next. So this potential energy head is equals to z, z meters. Okay. Next, third form is a kinetic energy. Third form of energy is nothing but a kinetic energy. So you can see here, a moving liquid possesses a kinetic energy. So with the flowing move which possesses a kinetic energy. Okay, so it is the energy possessed by the liquid due to its motion. So due to the movement of the liquid, so kinetic energy will generates. So due to the energy possessed by the moving liquid, okay. So due to its motion, this energy possessed by the liquid due to its motion, okay, and this can be expressed in terms of head of liquid. Okay, that is in meters. Okay, so we can see now. So kinetic energy head is equals to v square by 2g. Okay, v square by 2g, that is in meters. Okay, next we can see the conversion of potential energy into a kinetic energy. We can see the diagram here. So this is a diagram of a conversion of a potential energy into a kinetic energy diagram. We can see here from the static head. The liquid is flows through a pipe to the dynamic head. Okay, so there are some loss of heads during the movement of. during the motion of flow of the liquid. Okay, right. Well, next we can see the hydraulic gradient line HGL. So we can see the diagram. So this bluish color is a pipe, so which consists of a two piezometers. Okay, so this pipe is connected with two piezometers. Okay, the fluid flowing through the pipe is also enters into these two piezometers to a height of, okay, so P1 by W and P2 by W at respective points. Okay, and this will be a datum line. Z1 will be a datum line at section 1 from the this is the height of the pipe at section 1, that is Z1, that is from the datum. Next Z2 is also similar to the that of the Z1, that is at section 2. Okay, so from the datum, so the pipe head, that is pipe height of the pipe, that is Z2. Okay, and for these two pipes, the liquid at the top of the liquid position, that is, so in both the pipes, that is piezometers. So we can mark this, take it as a hydraulic gradient line. Okay, so now we can see this. So hydraulic gradient line. So it is the line joining the sum of pressure heads. Okay, so sum of pressure heads. Okay, and datum heads. So pressure heads for we can see pressure head is nothing but so P1 by W plus Z1. Okay, or P2 by W plus Z2. So this is the sum of pressure head and datum head. Okay, at different sections of the pipe. Okay, so it is the line joining the sum of pressure heads and datum heads at different sections of the pipe. Here we have two different sections. For those two different sections, so we can join the heads, pressure heads and the datum heads. Okay, next we can see. So piezometer head at section 1. Here we can see. Okay, so piezometer head at section 1 is equals to so P1 by W, P1 by W plus Z1. Okay, this is a piezometer at section 1. Okay, next piezometer head at section 2. So piezometer head at section 2, that is so P2 by W plus Z2. Okay, these are the piezometer heads at various or two different sections. Okay, respectively. Next, hydraulic gradient line joins. Okay, so piezometer head section 1 with a piezometer head at section 2 as shown in figure. Okay, that is so the hydraulic gradient line joins. So P1 by W plus Z1 with so P2 by W plus Z2. So as shown in the figure. Okay, next. So it is the line joining the, okay. So it is the line joining the sum of pressure heads. Now we can see here. Okay, this is a total energy line. Okay, so previously this is the joining of the so two piezometric heads at different sections is the hydraulic gradient line, and now we are going to discuss about the total energy line TEL. Okay, so it is the line joining the sum of pressure heads, velocity head, and a datum line or datum head. Okay, so here we have to join all the three heads, that is pressure head, velocity head, and head at different sections. okay, of the pipe. So now we can see. So from the datum line, just we can see here. This portion is a at velocity head. Okay, at section one. So v1 square by 2g, and at section two. So velocity head is v2 square by 2g. Okay. Now we can join the at section 1 and section 2 both the velocity heads. Okay, so we can see now. So total energy at section 1 is equals to, so v1 square by 2g plus p1 by w plus z1. So this is a total energy at section 1. Okay, so next, total energy at section 2. Okay, so it is given as, so v2 square by 2g plus p2 by w plus z2. So these two are the total energies at different sections. Okay, next one. Total energy line joins those two heads. Okay, so total energy at section 1 and total energy at section 2. So we can join those two heads. Okay, so total energy line joins, उसको v1 square by 2g plus p1 by w plus z1 with v2 square by 2g plus p2 by w plus z2 as shown in the figure here. Okay, so this is a total energy line. So now we are going to discuss about the, so pipe connecting two reservoirs. Okay, pipe connecting two reservoirs. So now we can able to calculate the velocity of flow, discharge and diameters of pipes connecting two reservoirs. Okay, so this is a diagram of a, so pipe connecting two reservoirs. So right and left tanks are two reservoirs. This is the first reservoir and this will be the second reservoir. So with a pipe, so we are connecting these two reservoirs. So pipe connecting two reservoirs. Okay, right. So now we are going to discuss about these two, this topic, that is pipe connecting two reservoirs. Okay, you can see. So HGL, that is the hydraulic gradient line, and TEL is the total energy line. Okay, just now we discussed these two terms. Okay, next we can see the here. So, so H is called, we can see the, see here. So this will be the H. Okay, so you can see the intensity, see here. So this will be the H. This H is called difference in liquid levels. Difference in liquid level in the reservoir 1 and reservoir 2. Okay, from the top surface of the reservoir 1 and the top surface of the reservoir 2. The difference between these two reservoirs, top surface of these two reservoirs, liquid levels of the two reservoirs. Okay, you can see that is H is equals to difference in liquid levels. Okay, so H is nothing but difference in liquid levels in the reservoirs 1 and 2. Okay, next. So L, you can see here. So there is a L, that is the length of the pipe. Okay, he clearly not mentioned. So this will be the length of the pipe. Okay, this will be the length of the pipe. Next, so D, so clearly not mentioned here. So D is called diameter of the pipe. Okay, diameter of the pipe. Next, so F is equals to frictional factor. Okay, frictional factor. Okay. Next, HF. HF is nothing but loss of head in the pipe. Okay. So head lost in the pipe is equals to 4 FLV square by 2GD. We know the formula head lost is equals to 4 FLV square by 2GD. Okay. Next. So as a difference in liquid level, okay, that is H. Okay. As a difference in liquid level, that is H. Okay. Equals to the loss of head, that is HF. Okay. So as a difference in the liquid level H equals to the loss of head HF. Okay, that is H H is equals to 4FLV squared by 2GD. So why? So here we can see the we can see here. So as the difference in the liquid level H is equals to the loss of head. So here clearly mentioned that H is equals to HF. Okay. So you know the formula for HF. HF is equals to 4FLV squared by 2GD. So that's why. So H is also known as 4FLV squared by 2GD. Okay. Next, the discharge through a pipe. Okay, the discharge through a pipe is Q is equals to AV. So this is a well-known formula. Okay, this is a well-known formula to us. That is, the discharge through a pipe is Q is equals to AV. Okay. Next, where A is equals to cross-section area. Okay, cross-section area of the pipe. Okay. So by using the above equation, so we can calculate the velocity and discharge. So by using this equation, Q is equals to AV. Okay, we can calculate the velocity as well as a discharge. Okay, right. So now we are going to discuss about some problems on pipeline connecting to reservoirs. Okay, so pipe connecting two reservoirs. Okay, so now we can discuss about the some of the problems. Okay, so we can see here. So this is the first problem we have to going to solve from the pipe connecting to reservoirs between the two reservoirs. Okay, right. So this is a question. So that is two reservoirs are connected by a pipeline. Okay. So consisting of two pipes. Okay. So two reservoirs are connected by a pipeline consisting of two pipes. So one of 15 centimeter diameter and other 6 meters length. Okay. So one of 15 centimeter diameter and 6 meter length, and the other of the diameter 22.5 centimeter and the length 16 meters. Okay. So if the difference between the water levels in the two reservoirs is 6 meters, if the difference between the two reservoirs is 6 meters, okay, if the difference if the difference between the two between the water levels in the two reservoirs is 6 meters, so calculate the discharge, then calculate the discharge, that is Q. So take, so frictional factor F is equals to 0.04 and neglect minor losses. Okay, so this is the previous question. Okay, so this is very important question. Okay, so once again I will repeat the question. So two reservoirs are connected by a pipeline consisting of two pipes. So one of 15 centimeter diameter and 6 meter length, and the other of diameter 22.5 centimeter and the length 16 meters. If the difference between the water level in the two reservoirs is 6 meters, so calculate the discharge. Take, so frictional factor F is equals to 0.04 and neglect minor losses. Okay, this is a given question. So from this question, so write the given data. So first write the given data. Okay, that is, so D1, small d1. Okay, this is a diagram okay, based on the given, based on the problem. Okay, so this is a diagram. So first diameter of the pipe D1 is equals to 15 centimeters. We can see here. So between the two reservoirs, so what is the total length of the pipe? 22 centimeters, so 22 meters. So between the two reservoirs, the length of the pipe is 22 meters. Okay, so from the 22 meters, so first 6 meters ha- having a different diameter, and the second 16 second one, that is remaining length of the pipe, is also having a different diameter. Okay, so for first diameter, that is d1 is equals to 15 centimeters with having a length of 6 meters, and the second pipe, that is d2 is 22.5 centimeters having a length of 16 meters. Okay, so from d1, so easily we can get, okay, a1. Okay, so before going to find a1, so this d1 is in centimeters, so convert it into meters. Okay, so 15 centimeters is equals to 0.15 meters. Okay, so conversion we can see here, 0.15 meters. So convert in next, find from this we can get a1. Okay, in the similarly d2 also. So from d2 we can convert it into meters, that is 22.5 centimeters into 0.225 meters. So from this we can get a2. Okay, so l1 is the 6 meters, l2 is the 16 meters. Okay, so next, so we can find the, okay, so here it clear in the question, it clearly given as loss of energy head, that is the difference between water levels or liquid levels of in the two reservoirs, that is 6 meters, that is capital H is equals to 6 meters. Okay, next from this, so we have to find the value of Q, that is discharge, flow rate or rate of flow or discharge. Okay, so first we have to, so apply the continuity equation. So by applying continuity equation, so we can get the value of V. I think so. No, no, no. So by applying the continuity equation, so what is the formula? So A1 V1 is equals to A2 V2. We know the value of A1 and A2. So by substituting the values of A1 and A2 in this continuity equation, so that is in place of A1, it is substituted with 0.0177. Okay, in a2, so 0.04, so that we can get, so 0.0177 v1 is equals to, so 0.04 v2. Okay, so from this we get v1, so v1 is equals to, v1 is equals to 2.26 v2, that is the value of v1. So v1 is equals to 2.26 v2. Okay, next, so loss of head in first pipe. So what is the loss of head in the first pipe? So we know the loss of head formula. So general formula, that is hf is equals to 4fl v square by 2gd. So here it clearly mentioned that for the first pipe, so loss of head for first pipe, that is represented as HF1. Okay, HF1. HF1 is equals to 4FEL1 V1 square by 2G D1. Okay, so for first pipe, no, so just we have to represent with L1 V1 square and D1. Okay, so HF1 is equals to 4FL1 V1 square by 2G D1. Okay, so by substituting values, all the values, F1, F value, L value, and V1 value, and also G, D. Okay, so that is, so F is equals to 0.04. So L, first length of the pipe, that is 6 meters, and V1, so we got 2.26 V2. Okay, and the denominators 2 into 9.81 into, so D1 is given as 0.15 meters. Okay, so we'll get, so 1.67 V2 square. Okay, so we got the value of how much? 1.67 V2 square. Okay, next, for the second pipe, so loss of head in a second pipe. Okay, loss of head in second pipe, that is HF2 is equals to 4FEL2 V2 square by 2G D2. Okay, so by substituting the all the values in the formula, so we'll get 0.58 V2 square. Okay, 0.58, so V2 square. Okay, so here for the in both the loss of heads for the first pipe and second pipe, so HF1 is equals to 1.67 V2 square, and HF2 is we got 0.58 V2 square. Okay, so from this, so we have to calculate a total loss of head. Okay, that is total loss of head is equals to HFL1, sorry, HF1 plus HF2. Okay, so we know the total loss of head, that is H is equals to HF1 plus HF2. So already we know the value of total loss of head, that is 6. In the problem only clearly given. Okay, that is 6. So substitute the value of 6 in place of total loss of head. 6 is equals to, so substitute the values of HF1 and HF2. Okay, 6 is equals to 1.67 V2 square plus 0.58 V2 square. Okay, so by simplifying this one, so we can find the value of V2. Okay, by simplifying this one, okay, we can find the value of V2. So how much we'll get? So V2 is equals to, so 1.633 meter per second. This is a V2 value. Okay, so from this, so we have to find the value of Q. So discharge, finally we have to find the value of discharge. So we know the formula. What is general formula? Discharge formula. So Q is equals to AV. Okay, so already we know the value of uh, A2 and V2. Just now we got the value of V2. So A2 we know the value of A2. So write the formula. Q is equals to A2 V2. So why we can take A2 V2? So we have the value of V2 only, not V1. Okay. If you want to find the value of V1, substitute the in this equation. Okay. So we can get the V1 also. Okay, but we no need of required finding the V1 value. So by substituting the V2 in the discharge formula, Q is equals to AV. Okay, that is Q is equals to A2 V2. So we got the value of Q is equals to 0.0653 meter cube per second. This is a final answer what we required. Okay. Next topic will be the siphon. Okay. So already actually we have number of problems on the pipe connecting between two reservoirs, but due to the less time, so we are skipping some of the problems. So now we are going to discuss about the another topic called siphon. Okay, siphon. So this is a diagram of a siphon here. We can see the diagram here. Okay. So before going to into the topic called siphon, so I will show a video, okay, regarding the siphon here. Okay, so just listen and watch carefully.
This is a working siphon. Unaided by any machine, liquid is moving through a hose from one container to another. The forces driving this process are complex and interesting. Let's investigate. Start by sitting a cup full of water on a block and an empty cup on the table. Position a hose so that it connects both cups. I colored the water to make it easier to follow this process. To start the siphon, we need to fill the hose with liquid. To do this, insert a pipette into the hose. Squeezing the bulb forces air out of the tube, creating bubbles. Slowly releasing the bulb, we see liquid moving into the tube. We might say that the pipette is sucking liquid into the tube. Actually, the liquid is being pushed into the tube by the external air pressure. When we release the bulb, a partial vacuum appeared. External air pressure pushes water toward this vacuum. To start the siphon, remove the pipette while holding the end of the tube below the level of the liquid. It is important to keep this end of the tube below the liquid level, or the liquid will run back into the upper cup. Once started, the liquid will continue to flow. One of the surprising things about this is that the liquid actually flows uphill as it exits the upper cup. This process requires both air pressure and gravity. If we look at the siphon in its start position, we see that the column of liquid in the tube on the left is much shorter than the column of liquid in the tube on the right. The column of liquid on the right is heavier than the shorter column. Pulled by gravity, it starts to fall, flowing towards the lower cup, pulling water from the upper cup with it. This flow continues until one of two things happen. Either the liquid is all removed from the upper cup, or an equilibrium is reached. This occurs when the liquid level in each cup is the same. This siphon has stopped flowing. Equilibrium has been reached. The level is the same in each cup. When the siphon starts, the long column of liquid weighs more than the short column. When the two columns have the same vertical height, forces are balanced and the flow stops. Sitting both cups on the tabletop, we can see the siphon starting to flow, stopping when both cups are at the same level. There is another question. Why does the column of water stay together? Why doesn't it break in the middle and flow in two directions? Air pressure is responsible for this. If the column pulled apart, that would create a vacuum, and air pressure would push the column back together. If you drilled a small hole in the siphon tube at the top, this would introduce air and the liquid would flow in two directions. If you're teaching about liquids, there are some interesting things you can do with siphons. Mixing two colors with a siphon creates some dramatic effects. You can create a siphon stair with a number of blocks, starting each section of the siphon in sequence. You'll find more science-related activities and videos at our website, hylaroad.com. Follow the projects link.
Right. So now we can see the siphon diagram here. So this is the topic we have to covered. So just now we have seen a video so regarding the siphon. So that is the experiment of the siphon. Okay, so in that video we have seen how the liquid is flowing from the higher level to the lower level. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the same thing here. Okay, so that is a siphon. So actually a siphon is a long bent pipe. Okay, a siphon is a long bent pipe used to supply water from one reservoir at higher level to the other at a lower level. So these two are the reservoirs, first reservoir and second reservoir. So from the first reservoir, the water is flowing through a pipe, okay, to the lower level reservoir. Okay, so when these reservoirs are separated by a hill or high level ground. Okay, so these reservoirs are separated by either hills or a high level ground. Okay, this is the regarding the siphon. Okay, now we can see the working principle of the siphon. The highest point of the siphon is called summit. Okay, we can see here. So point C is called a summit. The point C is the a summit. Okay, next, draw a line from C, P, and Q. Okay, so draw a line C, P, Q vertically downwards to meet the levels of the surface of liquids. Okay, to meet the levels of the surface of the liquids in reservoirs 1 and 2 at P and Q. So the surface of the liquid for reservoir 1 is at P and reservoir 2 at Q. Okay, respectively. So the pressure at P, you can see here, the pressure at P or at R. Okay, the pressure at P or R is equals to pressure at 1. So pressure at 1 is equals to atmospheric pressure. Okay, next, similarly, pressure at 2 here, this one here. So pressure at 2 is equals to pressure at R. So this one. So pressure at R plus, so the weight of the column P and Q. The weight of the column P and Q. Okay. Hence, the pressure of the liquid at 2, hence the pressure at liquid, the pressure of liquid at 2 is greater than the atmospheric pressure. Okay, and therefore the liquid from siphon, okay, therefore the liquid from siphon at point 2 will flow out. Okay, next, as a point C is located above the atmospheric pressure line. Okay, so PR, so this will be the an atmospheric pressure line PR. Okay, so a partial vacuum is tend to be formed. Okay, so a partial vacuum is tend to be formed. So this causes the liquid from the reservoir 1 to be forced up to C. Okay, so this causes the liquid from the reservoir 1 to be forced up to C, and a continuous flow would takes place. Okay, next, the height of summit C is measured from the line 1, P and R. Okay, the height of summit C is measured from the line 1, P and R, that is H. We can see here. This is the height of the summit from the line 1, P and R. Must be the less than the height of the barometer formed by the liquid. Okay, so for water, the barometric height is equal to 10.3 meters. Okay, for water, the barometric height is equal to 10.3 meters. So therefore, the height of summit, okay, see here. So this one. Therefore, the height of summit H should always be less than the 10.3 meters. Okay, so theoretically, the pressure at C, okay, may be reduced absolutely zero pressure. Okay, so theoretically, the pressure at C here, okay, that's summit point. The pressure at C may be reduced absolutely zero pressure or minus 10.3 meters of water. Okay, but so it is observed that if the pressure at C is less than 2.7 meters, okay, but it is observed that if the pressure at C, that is at summit point, pressure at C is less than 2.7 meters of water absolute, the dissolved air in water, okay, the dissolved air in water should come out and collect the top. Okay, next, at this pressure the water evaporates and forms vacuum bubbles. Okay, so at this pressure the water always evaporates and forms various bubbles. So hence the flow of water will be obstructed. Okay, so to prevent this maximum height between 1, okay, and C, that is summit, is limited to H max is equals to 10.3 minus 2.7 is equals to 7.6 meters of water. Okay, so to prevent this, the maximum height between the 1 and the summit, 1 and the summit, okay, is limited to H max, that is 10 point H max is equal to 10.3 minus 2.7 equal to 7.6 meters of water. Okay, next, the condition to be fulfilled for the satisfactory working of a siphon are the level of liquid in reservoir 2. Okay, the level of liquid in reservoir 2 must be below the level of the liquid in the reservoir 1. Okay, this is the first condition. Okay, so otherwise the pressure of liquid at 2 would be less than an atmospheric pressure. Okay, and the liquid would not flow out from the pipe. Okay, that will be the first case or first condition. Next will be the second condition. So the height of summit, okay, the height of summit H, here we can see the height of summit H must be less than the height of the corresponding liquid barometer. Okay, so otherwise the pressure of the atmosphere cannot support a column so high, okay, as PC. Okay, So that is, these are the two conditions to be fulfilled for the satisfactory work of a siphon. Okay, so this is the about the siphon here. Okay, by this I will stop the class or video.